Close calls, massive scores, and Grey College have got their revenge. We're talking all things Noordsate tonight on Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. It's a special episode of Rugby on 216. We're on tour again like we were last week. This time we're down in Stellenbosch and we're at the spectacular old school store in Stellenbosch. Guys, it's been an incredible week of Noordsate, but let's just talk a little bit about this amazing space we find ourselves in. Obviously, I'm wearing, again, the Rondebosch old school jersey. We've spoken about old school coming on board with SuperSport schools. You wore Affies and Jeppy and Kez. It's very cool to have them on board.
Yeah, you've worn nothing but Bosch, obviously. We've spread the love around.
We spread the love around.
And yeah, you look the same as last time I saw you. But yeah, no, this space is it's something else. It's it's like you're walking back straight into the 1800s, but with just nicer looking clothes. Eh?
Yeah, with class.
Yeah. So no, this is very special.
And behind Cooks there are a whole lot of school jerseys. So old school are at the moment adding to their collection of schools, and any schools that want to be involved can go to their website and sign up. And then also the schools that are on board, you can buy their jerseys on old school and take a look. But there's some nice one there, and we hear that Grey's one is on its way. Split.
Yeah, I'll be glad to see that one.
Be glad to wear it. But
Yeah.
but Alex, look, you look at the school jerseys here behind us, it's spectacular. You got the old school Western Province jerseys, and you just look around, and you got the Steel Knox Strickers over there, and then you got, I love just behind you with all the New Scotland. There's something for everyone. The T-shirts, everywhere. But just being here, you feel the nostalgia. The old school. You use the pun. You feel the nostalgia as you walk in here, and that's sort of what the brand have created, and especially with the school jerseys. I love looking at some of them, like the my class ones. Is very pretty, and it's brilliant for me.
I see Stellenberg in there as well, Cooksy.
Yeah, Stellenberg's in there.
Middelburg is there.
Will come in handy when you go down to Middelburg. Though.
Yeah, to the Derby.
You got to choose which one to wear. Like that's the problem though. There's only two of us.
No, I'll go with the white and red of RTS. Thank you very much. History, RTS, but the Stolnox ones are also absolutely lovely. But it's just the whole idea, just the whole thing behind it. How they. I can bet you a lot of us have sort of thought about it, or standing next to a fire, somebody's mentioned, wouldn't it be cool to get back your first team jersey of way back or whatever? Some guys went out and did it, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and that's where we are shooting today. It's a nice space to wrap up what's been an amazing week at Noordsate. We're going to start by talking about the three matches I had you guys call last week. And
the three predictions, right?
Yes. And
100% sort of thing.
And I'm going to start out that you both called the winners 100% for the three matches.
I was due, to be honest with you.
So that helps your stats, Cooks, because Split was already on 100%. You were hovering around 40, so this has lifted it. Yeah. This has definitely helped.
It's a long season, Alex. It's a long season.
I take chances he doesn't.
Some teams start slow and build their season, and others start like a house on fire and continue. It happens.
Let's start then with Paarl Roos Garsfontein. 34-32, the closest one on our list. You both called Paarl Roos, so managed it in the end by two.
Closer than I thought. Yeah. Closer than I thought. It's tough to say that at Marcotter and Paarl Roos, and I know they'll be better the rest of the season, but they were lucky. They were lucky to beat the Garsfontein side on the night. Had they played the next day, it might have been a more comfortable victory, who knows. But on that night, there's a couple of things that went their way. I remember that charge down. Pasensi, the Garsfontein fly-off, got charged down twice in a minute. But on the second one, the ball ricocheted from the charge down, hit his winger's head on the sideline, popped back into the scrum half of Paul Roos's hands, Jan Nel, who crashed over for a try. So, yeah, and my Paul Roos friends must forgive me, and everybody watching this show, but I think in the end they were slightly lucky because at a stage it looked like they had the upper hand. But then Garsfontein, and especially their prop forward, Proppie van der Berg, Luan van der Berg, just kept charging at them and sort of turned that tide. And I remember a specific moment, Cooks, in that match. There was a little chip kick through by Garsies, by the Beera. And Junaid Stewart also with some sort of ricochet got the ball in hand and he got tackled by Pfeiffer, who had a blinder, the Paul Roos fly-off. He won them the game. But there was that moment where my referee friend here to the left would know Mr. Pfeiffer slowed that ball down ever so slightly, 5 meters in front of his own post, and got away with it. Rightfully so. If you get away with it, you get away with it and you win your side the game. If you don't, you might look silly.
I think it's tough for the Beera, I mean, and the Gassies fan. I mean, they probably do feel maybe they got the slight. They didn't get the rub of the green in terms of when it comes to the calls. But it was a fantastic game. And it was a full makota. I mean, and everyone came out. But interesting enough for me for the Paul Roos side. The Paul Roos side, it's interesting because they walk out in the makota, and everyone, for example, the last time they were on that field was when they beat Grey. The record performance, so all eyes on them. They are at home. North States come down to the south. So the most important thing for me sometimes with these sides is when they maybe not at the races, how do they close these games out? Do they have enough to win a game? When a Gazi side, they started with stuff, but when they came, and they were relentless and they kept coming. But Paul Roos found a way to do it, especially at home, because it would have been an interesting evening if Paul Roos didn't win at the Makota.
It's a new experience for you to come and the home side wins when you're on tour.
No, I don't count it because it's a festival.
Yeah,
that's the thing. But it's a festival that's happened. It's when the derby starts.
Okay.
Don't. Maybe this is what I needed. Maybe this turns the table. This turns the tides.
I want to get back, and I want to make it clear. I don't think it was the rub of the green or refereeing decisions why Paul Roos was lucky. I just think they were lucky with the odd bounce, that specific charge down, the one incident that I referred to. But it's not a refereeing error or saying, Garshies was robbed. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. You just got the feeling at a certain stage, with like 7 or 8 minutes left, it felt like Garsfontein actually had the momentum on the Makota, which is strange. But what I like what you said, Cooks, quality sides close things out, even when they're not at their best, which Paul Roos wasn't.
Then the next match had very much a test match atmosphere about it, and the final scoreline, 25-17 in favour of Paarl boys over Affies, I think belies how close it actually was. It was 18-17 until the very end when Paarl boys managed to get a try. For me, one of the coolest things I saw throughout Noordsate was when the Paarl Gym boys lined up next to the field for the Paarl boys to run through as they went out for that match. And it's the rivals, but in this sort of situation, it's the South standing together, supporting your arch rivals. I just think that's something special about rugby, and there's so many stories like that, but it was cool to see that, and what a match that was.
It's a test match. I mean, I think I saw Sport as the game ends, we was commentating. I think we both had the same thought. I mean, it was a war of attrition. And it's so funny because, you look at some of the games that happened at Noordsate. I mean, there was a fantastic game between Bolandambo and Waterkloof, which was 41-36. And schoolboy rugby games, interesting enough, in first team rugby level, the very good ones, people remember, they talk about the high scoring ones, 36-30. But that game you mentioned as like a test match field, it was a game where, for me, like two good sides going at it, two good packs. But then also like a game where the Paarl boys, the 9-10 sort of won the game. And interesting enough, I mean, I think the Villas was special on the big man of the match. And then you look at it, like the Rondebosch, he being outplayed something and very tight. And it just felt like a test match. And I think people around could feel the intensity. The hits were harder. The mistakes was such a game where, like, the momentum's changed so many times. I thought both sides kicked very well, which is fine enough to say in a school game. And it was all about trying to get the edge over each one. And, Paarl boys started like a house on fire. Affies crawled them as a sick first half when they crawled themselves back in the game. Kept the momentum in the second half, but then Paarl boys sort of got it back again and got that late try at the end. When 8 points doesn't actually tell the full story of that game, because that's how tight it was. I mean, Rondebosch just had a penalty 4 short to try and take the lead. So it was just a fantastic game that the crowd just got into, and it had that test match feel, and it is still nice to watch games like that in school at a schoolboy level.
I know you're going to talk about some of the key players, but I love bringing up this story in our class of 24, Cruz Davey from third team to SA under 18. That's such a special story. He was immense. Jordan, massive boots. Tell us about some of the standouts.
Look, I just felt that exactly what Cook said. It's a different kind of special to watch a school game like that, and probably some people at home would go, but I went edge of the seat. You knew what was going to happen, and it was 2 very good sides against each other. I do think Boys Eye has a bit more to offer at the back. I do think they've got more to offer than Affies from maybe 11 through to 15, and that's just how things progress sometimes, The 2 Jeppy twins for Boys Eye was massive. Jaden Jeppy up front was a colossus. The number 5, he was very, very good. I thought Stefan McDonald, the 8th man from Affies, especially at collision times, was immense. Gafikop was just as good, the 8th man on the Boys Eye side. So there was these little personal battles. And the most important personal battle was always going to be that between Ruben Groenewald and Francois van der Merwe. So very interestingly, both played at 15 for their first sides last year. And both now at pivot in that match. Groenewald is a natural 10, van der Merwe as well. So, and I don't know if you remember, late in the second half, Groenewald was kicking it to the corners. Van der Merwe was fielding it for Boys Eye and returning it on tight angles on the number. Twice he put them out into the half of Affies, once just short of that. And I think psychologically that broke Affies down a little bit. Because
The composure as well from...
Yes, my key weapon is going at them and they're returning it. But Affies lost that one, right? They are going to beat some of the other top sides in South Africa. And having lost to Boys Eye does not take away that they are one of the top sides.
Yeah.
And remember, I'm going to take you a week or 2 back. I said Boys Eye will be in the top 3 in South Africa this year. That does not mean Affies can't be there either, even having lost that. And look, when you nominate 2, there's only 1 left in that 3, so I won't go that far. But I'll stick to Boys Eye, going to be in the top 3. I think that performance proved it, because they were well and truly tested, like only 2 or 3 other sides in the country can do this year. So,
something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with that big call then, having watched that. For Affies, big performances as well.
The only slight I'll give to Affies, I just thought in the second half especially, they got a little bit one-dimensional. Managed to create space out wide. They just could not just find space for the wingers to get through. That was the only frustrating thing about... And Paarl and Boys Eye just took all that pressure. Where I thought the way on attack, which is I think is going to be so different with Boys Eye, this is what Neil de Bruin is sort of bringing. It's going to be interesting to see how they go.
He's added something, but he's also given Sean Erasmus the freedom to do what Sean Erasmus does. They were very good on the ground, like they always are. And I'll tell you why I back them. And I've got great mates at Affies, and I've got great mates at Boys Eye, and I've worn Affies, but I'll tell you why. And Cooksey calls it the safe option. I call it there's a bit of method to the madness of making a call. They were always going to be slightly hungrier because of last year. They were always going to be slightly hungrier, according to me, in that match. Not saying Affies isn't, because they're desperate for another victory over one of the top boys. But Yeah, magic match.
Being slightly hungrier paid off, winning 25-17. Then the one that wasn't close, you both called Grey College to beat Jeppy, which happened 64-31 split. You said by 15, Cooks. You said by only 3, so split was closer. But you both get the 100%.
We both
streak.
100%. Don't
Both
take away.
Yeah.
Both got the 100%. Yes.
I'm wondering how to put this as an old boy of the school as well. Out of the sides we've mentioned, they'll be the most worried. Grey College. After this Noordside tournament. Maybe alongside Paarl Roos because of the performance against Garsfontein. Paarl Gymnasium had an easy ride. So that might also be concerning in a way that they haven't really been tested. Grey College was not good against Noordhevel. Noordhevel was amazing against Grey College. But Grey College weren't great. Against Jeppy, they fired on the attack like you would want them and like you would expect. And what was markedly improved was their rack speed. It was very good against Jeppy. It put them on the front foot, and then you've got Ethan Adams coming at you and Alexi Tyropoulos coming at you and some big men, Torek Shambriel in the midfield. You know, once those guys get on the front foot, they give it to Lamlam Gadezi on the wide channels, they are going to hurt you. Right back at it, they'll be concerned about their defence against Jeppy because they did allow Jeppy to score 5 tries. And if you go and look at the Bosch Jeppy game, Bosch only allowed Jeppy to score 2. Yes, they didn't score 10 or whatever like Grey College did, but they only allowed Jeppy to score 2. So knowing Jannie Geldenhuys, knowing Bobby Joubert, Vian de Pre, all the Tian Liebenberg, everybody involved in the structure, will go, we've got some work to do. But I spoke to Dale Jackson, the headmaster of Jeppy, after that game, and also to Eugene Lemaitre, and I said, listen, you can be so proud of your boys because they hung in there, they fought like Trojans. They mauled Grey College on 2, 3, 4 occasions. They mauled them. Lindelani and Kambule on the outside centre was magnificent. Grayson Gui, Graydon Gui. They had some fantastic performance. Talon Sitoli getting his form back. Good game of rugby. Entertaining, a lot different than boys are Affies, but entertaining.
It's interesting. What I found at the Grey College is, the bar is so high for them. You win 64-31, and they'll still walk there like, maybe we left quite a bit in the park. And I think that's obviously the history that does come with it. But for me, on a positive note, not as an old boy, is what I thought was fantastic about Grey, especially in that first 50 minutes, how clinical they were. Whereas Jeppy would have long stints with the ball, and if they get over or they make a mistake, Grey will just find just these moments of magic. I was even say moments of magic is whenever they got any bit of momentum, they'll go score a try. I mean, there was a fantastic try they scored in the second half when it was 21-5, and they managed to stop the kids. The Jeppy Mall stopped it, got a scrum. Ethan Adams had an exceptional carry with about 40 meters of fun football, and then he just went wide, and then they find themselves in so quickly in the trial line, in the Jeppy trial line, which is, when I think about Grey, it's when they're playing well like that, and they're that clinical, they can hurt you from 90 meters out, and you blink and you go. I thought that was good about them today, because I think, again, it is pre-season where they've sort of, I guess, they have not just gotten that, besides the 10 minutes against Oakdale on a second half. There's a longer period about it now, and yes, they made quite a few changes, but Jeppy can be proud of them. But for me, as I think, again, I want to say, easier to say, but it still does feel like pre-season. It's the school holidays now. You still got the whole season to go. But if you go in there, as the tech coaches, you're probably going, we can breathe a little bit easier.
Yeah, for sure. So what changed from the Noordhevel match to the Jeppy match was exactly what you're saying. They were more clinical on attack. Because against Noordhevel, they had 6 mauls from 5 meters out. They couldn't score. So they just totally the opposite. They never used their opportunities. They had 10 or 15 22-meter entries against Noordhevel and couldn't score. Credit to Noordhevel as well, because they were Trojans on defense. Here's the scary part for the rest of South Africa, and that's always been the scary part. Grey College are able to win, and sometimes win handsomely, without being at even 90 or 95 or 100%.
Well, then, in the end of it all, Grey College got their revenge over Jeppy by 64 points to 31. You guys are 3 out of 3 for Noordstate. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our discussion about Noordstate and also talk a bit about the players of the tournament.
Some things you don't choose. They choose you. A name, a history, a legacy that came long before you and will last long after you're gone. It's not just about the game. It's the moments that shape you. The early mornings, the long bus rides, the chants that never fade. The friendships, the rivalries, the feeling of being part of something bigger. It's a belonging, something you carry with you wherever you go. Because once you're a part of it, you always will be.
In a world where every second counts, will he make it on time? Out here on the streets, anything can happen when the odds are stacked against you. One man finds the will, the drive, the passion to steer his path to destiny. It's a Swift.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216, brought to you by Thirsty. We're on tour. We're in Stellenbosch at the incredible old school store, just a couple minutes away from the Mokota at Paarl, Roos, where the Noordstate has just wrapped up. Literally, we've come here straight from it. We've been talking about it. We've spoken about your 3 picks you guys made last week. 100% success rate for you there. Now what I want to talk about a little bit are 2 schools that also sort of really showed themselves at Noordstate. And firstly, just because I'm wearing the jersey and because last week, Swit, you brought it up, I didn't, that Rondebosch are having the starts of what looks to be, or what could be, a good season, drawing with Paarl at the Western Province Rugby Day, beating Oakdale, the Wynberg Festival, beating Jeppy, beating Nelspruit at Noordstate. So going 100% at Noordstate, 2 from 2. And I think we'll talk a little bit about Josh Neal, the captain, and the incredible impact he's had, but a strong start for Rondebosch.
You want another big call?
Yes, if it's positive.
I'll win the Grand Slam again.
Okay, that's adding to our big calls of the season. Rondebosch to win the Grand Slam for the 3rd time in 30 years and only the 2nd time now in 2 years in a row. They've never done that.
Give me the next 8 minutes of this segment to feel my way through whether I want to lock it in. But they've got the makings of a side that can do it. Yeah. They're very good. They're very, very good. And we like to joke with Alex, as we always joked, or not me, the rest of South Africa joked about Jeppy beating Grey College, but we like to joke about Alex and his Bosch affinity, but they're very, very good. Randall John Davis in the back line is a special, special talent. You've got Josh Neal, Aluta Wesi. You've really got the makings of a very, very good side. Harry Saboyle, the fly-off, he's been playing nicely. So, yeah, I think they can go all the way again in the southern suburbs this year. I really do think so. And not just that, they're going to knock somebody over. somewhere this year. They're going to join this party. They might not join the party and reach the top 3 or 4 themselves, but they're going to spoil somebody's party this year. I'm telling you that. They're gonna rock over one of the traditional Western Cape giants somewhere this year, whether it be at home, whether it be on the road. I know which one they're targeting. I won't mention it because I overheard them and I had a chat with them. So I know which one they desperately want to win. But that's a quality outfit, right across the park. Are they joining the top 5 party this year? They'll be very close. But they'll spoil the top 5 party of one of the teams.
I'll tell you what's the one thing I worry about is I was looking at some of the stats from Noordsaat. Rondebosch had 20 lineouts, won every single one of them. Josh O'Neill pretty much took every single one. He's fantastic at that. I worry what happens if he gets injured.
Touch wood,
touching wood. It's just when you have a player that good winning all those lineouts.
They are better than a Joshua.
Yeah,
they are better than that.
They're not a one-man team, not a one-man wrecking crew. I think the depth is that, but that's what does hurt the Southern Cyber schools when they go up against the Kings of Paarl or the Paul Roos who have probably got more depth. But for me, the interesting thing about this Rondebosch side, I think they'll be the first to tell you, is that they're one of their best. Probably the whole of this Noordsaat. But again, that's the bar they've set for themselves. For me, there's the confidence that Rondebosch goes into these games with, where they feel like they're not just there to compete. They feel like we are one of the best teams on the park, and you see that. And I don't think there's many flank combinations better than Josh Neal and Luta West at the moment. And again, both in the SA and 18 setup last year, and they've sort of grown into that. Josh Neal added a bit of bulk, and you can see, having been in that experience, it feels like when a matric does play against grade 11s, it feels like he's like, these kids are they're not on my level. I've played rugby at a high level. I think there's a confidence that Rondebosch goes into these games, and they feel like that, having players who've been around the SA setup, they feel like they're always the best side on the park on most nights and on most days. And you could see the confidence, especially against Nelspruit and against Jeppy. Yeah, 100%. Then another school that is doing very well at the moment. If Rondebosch is doing well in the Western Cape, then it's DHS who's doing well for KZN. They were down at the Grey High Festival, beating Kingswood by 41 points to 20 and Selborne College by 35 points to 5. It's a very strong season so far from DHS.
I expected them to win. I didn't expect the comfort of those 2 victories. Kingswood is a very good side this year. And for them to get 41-20 victory over Kingswood in the Eastern Cape, remember, that's the big thing. They were travelling. Yes, Kingswood also travelled, but not the distance that was travelled by the men from Durban. And then Selborne, 35 points to 5. That's a hammering. Selborne hardly ever gets hammered. They get beaten quite often, to be honest, and it's no harm intended to Selborne, but 35-5 is a big victory. But DHS has been knocking on the door for the last season or 2 now. Under Peter Engeldo, they've grown into a quality outfit. Remember, he used to be at Boys Eye. He's at DHS for the last few years. They're a quality team, Alex. And what you must remember is, let's talk sort of English medium playing rugby schools. Fair to say they might be the 2 best around in the country currently. It'll be a proper showdown if they can meet somewhere. And kudos to them. They've worked really hard. KZN schools rugby has for a long time sort of been on the back foot, in comparison to the rest of the country, I want to say. So maybe this is a year where they can sort of get that right again, because remember, a couple of years ago, I think it was Villa Clava, they played Paarl Boys and lost by a point. In fact, I think it was at last year's tournament. So maybe they can also, at one of these tournaments, roll over one of the big dogs.
No, I think you can. I mean, DHS, fantastic week. Sort of putting a show at Quebec. So, that Villa Clava, they do play Paarl, so that's going to be one to watch. But for me, it's DHS, and what I'm saying is this year, one of the biggest derbies to watch will be DHS Westville. Westville also was very, very good down at Grey. The CIO is
Yeah, he's next
we
level.
speak about Marcus Muller at 13, but CIA is probably in the top 5, top 3, but in terms of he was special. So for me, when DHS Westfield's going to be fun to watch this year, but for DHS again, I think they're in the similar mold Rondebosch is, and then in terms of confidence level. So hopefully, we said down the line they'll meet somewhere.
You spoke about him. I just want to say he might be in the top 5, but he's by far got the best name. Zikatelo Siyaya. Siyaya. I mean,
Sounds like a name that needs to be in headlines.
yeah, he's
Trust me.
special. He's
No,
going to
he
be in
will
plenty of headlines.
Yeah.
Look, it's a. Yeah, I know it's bold, but he's one of those boys. You see him, and he's got that green and gold written all over him.
So
Hopefully he stays injury free.
Is that another big call for the season?
We need Sharks and Wisdom Prophets to play each other at the Craven weekend. Just put the CIA and Marcus Muller and
then just sit back, get the popcorn.
Reminding you guys,
ready.
you've called Sharks to win
Yeah.
Craven Week, so maybe
Did both of us call that?
one of you did. It's
I
on our
called
big
it.
calls
I
list.
think
I'm not changing it.
Yeah, I think
You
I
agreed, yes, you
I
agreed.
I'm not changing it. I'm not changing the call.
Well, then let's talk about players of the tournament from Noordzee. Now that it's all wrapped up, push you guys to make your picks, have your debate, unless it's not a debate.
We had a debate. We had our chats.
we look. There was standouts like there always will be. Marcus Miller is a phenom. We all know that. But there's other 13s who phenoms as well. Ethan Adams is a phenom. I mean, they play different brands of games, but they're both very good. And they're going to hit each other. 26 April in Bloem. Paarl Gymnasium, great college. Marcus Miller, Ethan Adams. You know, there's 14 guys next to them, but they're going to catch their headlines in the lead up to that game. It's going to be, 13 versus 13, Adams versus Miller, SA Schools, SA under 18. They've got the pedigree. So they were both very good. Marcus Miller is a try-scoring machine currently for Paarl Gym. I think he's scored 10 tries in 4 games. I mean, he's scoring 2.5 tries per match. Have they played the same quality of opposition? Probably not. So that's something to look out for. Your man, Josh Neal?
Probably our forward of the tournament. Yeah.
He's a
Different gravy. And
special player.
And it's so interesting. I mean, he was good. I mean, he beat the likes of, I thought it was also very good, was Quinton Portgitter, beating the likes of probably Van der Berg. So, I mean, for us to sit and some of the guys, the commentators and, the guys watching as well, going, oh yeah, everything think Josh Neal was the best forward we saw out there. I think it shows the tournament he had because there were some special forwards who played. They were on display there at Noordzee. So, Josh, he was our pick.
Jaden Hubert, Paul Boys, special. Number 5 lock.
Yeah.
Very special. And then Jaden Brits, the Boerland Landbou number 9. He got 2 man of the match performances. So he was also very good. But there was talent right across the park. Jandre Etola, the flyer from Noordvaal.
That's what's special about Noordzee is there is so much talent that comes together and we get to see it all on display. But yeah, I'm glad because I'm.
I want to give a shout out quickly to Menlo Park. I mean, two of them too.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
I mean, a side that always, like you never know when they're coming. But they're coming. I thought they were good.
there.
I mean, they played them one of the day. Every time I was so impressed. Every time they were in the park at Noordzee. I mean, probably the unsung heroes. I just want to give them a shout out. I thought Menlo Park was fantastic as well.
And one more thing while we're giving shout outs. The center pairing from Jeppy. Panuletsi and Lindelani Nkambule.
Lindelani was good today. Nkambule was very good. Against Ethan Adams. I mean, he was good. It was a great battle to watch.
They are 2 special talents. Letsi, grade 11, eh?
Yeah.
Remember that. Panuletsi. They kept Great College busy and at bay at times. They were very, very good.
So you're talking about the backline there. You guys made your pick for the forward of the tournament being Josh Neal with his 100% lineup success rate, two tries against Jeppy as well. Backline.
Lam Jadezi.
Good day.
He was, when he single-handedly probably won the game against Noordis in the first game, and then against Jeppy, I thought it was fantastic again. He's probably been the breakout grade 11 star of against Monas. I mean, Monas still have nightmares against him. So yeah, I thought for us Lamla Jadezi, I thought he was very, very good.
He catches, he passes, he runs,
strong
he
in
kicks.
contact.
He's a fantastic talent. He's a good cricketer as well. He's got balls.
Yeah.
That's the thing, It's one of those little kids who, that's a baller.
Yeah.
He's a baller.
Absolutely.
Mgedezi is a baller. He can play 15. He'll be able to play you 9. If you've got an injury at 10, he'll be able to cover there. He's a baller. He's a fantastic talent.
So forward of the tournament, Joshua Neal. Back of the tournament, Lamlam Mgedezi. Player of the tournament.
It's very easy. Marcus Miller. He was fantastic. He had my moment of the whole Nerd set in terms of which summed up his class. There was a line break where their winger went through, and then Marcus Miller, as the fetcher was about to steal, had a massive clean. Boom, has a clean. Quinton Pochita comes charging in the carry. 9 hits Quinton Pochita. As he falls down, as Pochita pops, the same Marcus Miller who hit the ruck, got up, work rate, catches and scores out of the post. It just summed up the quality of the rugby players. It's on his size, his speed. It's just when he's on the ground, he doesn't stay on the ground. It's just a class rugby player.
M&M's, Marcus Miller. Remember the name. It's the work he does off the ball. It's the work he does at training. It's the way he guides his troops. It's the way he talks on defence. It's his understanding of rugby. And then he's got the Dani Gerber hips. He's got those hips. What's Shakira?
Yeah.
Oh, those hips don't lie. No, those hips don't lie. Never. Strong in the thighs, strong in the hips. He's got that. He's got that physique that's going to take him a long, long way. His battle with Adams later the year, I'm relishing, but his total rugby IQ is one for the future. He's a fantastic player, and I think hands down the player of the tournament.
Well, there we go. We've got our forward, our back, and our player of the tournament. Thanks, guys. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, we're talking about SDC Noordvaal, which kicks off next week, and then later on, we're going to play The Impossible Truth. See you in a bit.
Sure. You sure? Sure.
Yeah, man, you sure?
Yes, I am sure. Look at this thing. It's presidential. What if we get caught, man? Nobody gets caught in South Africa, man.
That's true.
Now lift. I'm sure.
Don't just be sure. Be sure. King Price ain't sure. Insurance you can be sure about. Visit kingprice.co.za.
Honey, I think the career guys here.
Hier kom my bokser. Kibbies? Anna? Maar waar is die Anna?
Hey! Ik kom niet boksen. Goed. Ik kom niet boksen.
Wow! Ek sê mos, wow! Bring vir my die boks.
Okay, sure.
The Courier Guy, the courier behind the box.
Can you deliver something for me?
Where to?
Hy wys vir my. Put this one in the Springs box.
Look at man. Hey, winner.
In a world where every second counts, will he make it on time? Out here on the streets, anything can happen when the odds are stacked against you. One man finds the will, the drive, the passion to steer his path to destiny. It's a Swift.
The SDC Noordvaal Cup is South Africa's oldest schoolboy rugby tournament, with roots stretching back over a century to 1920. And now, starting 12 April, you can catch all the action live every Saturday at 12:30 on SuperSport Schools Channel 216. Garsfontein are the reigning champions, chasing a third consecutive title this year. But with over 200 schools from across 500,000 square kilometers of the country, the battle for the cup is wide open.
To tell us more about the SDC Noordvaal Cup, I'm joined here in studio by Tinus Diedriks, the chairperson of SDC Noordvaal Cup, and Daniel Gibbert, the man in charge at SDC, who's the main sponsor of the tournament. Welcome, guys.
No, thanks for the invite.
Thanks, Johan. Thanks for the invite.
Tinus, the oldest cup competition in South African schoolboy rugby, and probably the only one left, to be honest.
Yeah, no, there aren't very many left. And 1920, we're now looking at number 103. There were 2 years we didn't play, so 103 lying at the doorstep, starting on the 12th of April. Yeah. With a lekker game between Paarl and Garsfontein. So that's going to be a lekker good one to kick off the Noordvaal Cup.
The amazing thing, 2024 and now 2025 again, every Saturday a televised match on Channel 216, SuperSport Schools. That must make the sponsors happy.
Yeah. Look, it's essentially that's not why we joined. It's for us, there's a passion behind it, and but I'm not shying away from it. It's definitely a bonus, and it's helping us.
And the television definitely gave it a totally different dimension. You know, it's putting it out there. Granny and grandfather sitting at home, being able to watch their kids wherever they sit in the world, they can see it.
Yeah, and it's not just the Channel 216. It's the SuperSport Schools app that the games are being streamed as well. So that
It just makes it accessible for everyone, you know.
Absolutely.
And I guess, Tinus, in a way, it's grown the profile. You know, for many a year, the people had this idea, this is a Gauteng thing, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Now it's open to South Africa.
Yeah, it's always been a marketable one. We've always believed that it's one of the biggest marketing sport products out there. And with ProVantage, who came on board a couple of years ago, and then with them bringing on board SDC as our main sponsor, and then a couple of subsidiaries, smaller sponsors as well, made a massive difference.
So I want to get to that ProVantage sports element of the thing. I know, Daniel, it also played a big role in you joining the competition.
Yes, yeah. Look, I think with the tournament that was, I think it was on a little bit of they didn't know where they were going. And then when ProVantage Sport came on board, brought us on board, we got on the back foot. We didn't have a lot of time. So this first 3 years for us was just feeling around where we're at, and we've got a more clear direction of where we're going with the next 3 years. And then I think after that we should stop talking about 3 years and make it more permanent. So that's where we're seeing it as going. So for us, like I said, it's not the television. We didn't get on board. We're not the usual sponsor for us. It's investment rather than just getting seen out there.
That long contract must be
music. That's music. That's very long. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
because what ProVantage and SDC has brought to us, not just from a financial point of view, is within our structure. It's the name brand. It's the name that's becoming a household name now. And for us, that's essential that we need to get that household name.
I want to delve into the history just a little bit. You speak about 1920. That's amazing, first of all. But a lot of teams has been part of this competition. Yes. And yes, they've decided for various reasons not to be part of it anymore. But the likes of Affies, there was English schools who's been part of it.
Victoria Boys who for long held the cup. The actual director's trophy is still standing at their school. So when the last time they won it, because soon after that the name was changed and everything. So yeah, there's been many that have been part, that has climbed out, and there's many that are still now becoming part, especially in our smaller groups where there are smaller schools coming in and everything of that sort. So traditionally, it's been a home for many of our northern schools. We've got about 220 odd schools that are playing, that are part of the competition. It's massive across the 5 sections. So it's a huge undertaking to get everything working and done. But I think the payoff in the end when that finals are played, and with this year's finals, we're doing a couple of things differently. We're going to, especially in the cup competition, the afdeling 1 beker competition, we're going to have the B sides and the second teams having their go at one another on the same day. So that's something new that we're looking at. So there's a couple of things to expand what we're doing.
Yeah, look, if the viewers at home didn't watch this product in 2024, I can tell you they missed out, because I was at finals day at Waterkloof, and
that was huge.
Seeing everyone there, I distinctly remember this. Walking or stopping at the ground, sort of feeling, yeah, it's another Saturday, it's another game, I miss home, you know. And as I walked in, boom, it changed because
So there's a nice Joe Black that's saying the anthem, the national anthem, and it's all different.
And that's the key. And for a sponsor as well, you mentioned the word, it's different. It's unlike any other schoolboy rugby in South Africa because the final was played between two schools, and I'm speaking afdeling again, of course. The final was played between two schools 6 kilometers away from each other.
But you know what, Johan, that said, if you look at the day, 6 points difference in the end, and you look at all the other sections as well that were played, one draw. The others were 2, 3, 4 points from one another. That's how close the competition is across the board. And what Noordvaal Cup and what SDC and what Pro Vantage have done is to reignite the vehicle that we have and just make it bigger. We polished it, and it's going to be we're going to keep on polishing it.
Administrateursbeker, Beeld Trophy, Versekerbeker, Directeursbeker, and now SDC Noordvaal Cup. Daniel, SDC, how important and how nice is it to carry name rights of a competition, the oldest competition in South African schoolboy rugby?
Yeah, I think it's when we got in again, like we said, it needed a bit of reviving, and I think we've laid a foundation. In my mind, that between ourselves and SuperSport, Pro Vantage Sport, it's just the beginning of the foundation for us is laid now, and to make this again, to bring it to its former glory days, where it's the tournament to be in. Not taking anything away from any other schoolboy tournaments. I mean, it's become a lucrative industry for sponsors like ourselves, school sports as a whole, not just rugby. So I think everyone's got their own mindset where they want to take it. Again, we're not just the sponsor in the usual sense where we just want to be seen and we're actively involved. And I think that's actually as well making a big difference in the tournament itself.
Yeah, and their involvement as well, the financial contribution from their involvement as well goes back to or pays for referees from the quarterfinals forward. The people out there will say unbiased referees, but we can't do the game without the referees, and that's certainly added huge value to the competition to be able to afford and do that kind of thing.
Guys, Rugby on 216 wants to thank you immensely. You've become a big part of the show. We're looking forward to the 12th of April, covering the rugby right through to the finals, end of August. Long competition, long rugby season. Thanks for your visit.
Johan, thank you to you guys as well. You know, SuperSport has added SuperSport and SuperSport schools have definitely added another dimension to it. And you know, from a spectator point of view, from a support point of view, it's just unbelievable to have the product out there and to be able to be associated with you guys and get the product out to the people that want to see it.
Daniel, best of luck for you as a sponsor. I hope 2025 is a magnificent year. And Tinus, you now know, get that pen and paper ready for the long deal.
The long deal.
Evidently,
That's it.
You know the saying on SuperSport schools, World Cups are won 10 years in advance. And the SDC Noordvaal Cup for 2025 will prove that point. You'll see talent, you'll see passion, you'll see determination, and you'll see a lot of tries.
Some things you don't choose. They choose you. A name, a history, a legacy that came long before you and will last long after you're gone. It's not just about the game. It's the moments that shape you. The early mornings, the long bus rides, the chants that never fade. The friendships, the rivalries, the feeling of being part of something bigger. It's a belonging. Something you carry with you wherever you go. Because once you're a part of it, you always will be.
Je kom mee boksen. Kiwis? Anna? Maar waar is die Anna?
Hey, hey, hey! Ik kom niet boksen, ik kom niet boksen. Goed. Ik kom niet boksen, ik kom niet boksen.
Wow, wow! Exemos, wow! Breng van mij die box.
Okay, so.
The Courier Guy, the courier behind the box.
Can you deliver something for me?
Where to?
Hij wees van mij, hij wees van mij.
Put this one in the springs box.
Look at man. Hey, buena.
Welcome back to Rugby on 216. Guys, all we have left to do, ask the ref impossible truth. I'm going to make the ask the ref one quick and simple today, just something I noticed.
I just, before you do that, want to know what the story is. You know, there's a lot of people in the Varsity Cup young guns sort of crying foul over a referee at Kutsenberg yesterday, and I just want to know who that referee was. You must know him.
I
Have
also
you
want
met
to
his
know.
acquaintance?
No.
Apparently no, because we were still standing there at North-South, and the next moment this man's coming out, Western Province, tie, the works, and dressed for success on his way to Kutsenberg, and the away side got a W. Now you must remember, he's a student at UCT. He referees Marty, and now Marty's loses. You think that's coincidence?
I will say their manager for Marty's, Clint van Rensburg, manager Rondebosch as well, director of rugby at Rondebosch.
Obviously said you had a great game, because that's the Bosch connection. I mean, come on.
The thing I was going to bring up also has to do with Rondebosch. When they played Jeppy, and I just thought, what this made me think of is that captains who know the law, and when they're able to approach referees and have a good constructive discussion, it can be very beneficial. Jeppy were awarded a free kick at a scrum. Rondebosch weren't back 10 at the free kick, so advantage was played. And the referee then had to come back for that advantage, and he awarded a penalty. Now, if you're not 10 at a free kick, it's a new free kick, 10 meters in front. It's not a penalty for being offside. It's just a new free kick. And a lot of people don't know that because it's a bit of a weird one. You'd think, oh, you're offside, so it's a penalty. But not if you're offside at a free kick. It's then a free kick. And the referee initially awarded a penalty, and Josh O'Neill, captain of Rondebosch, just to say, is it not a free kick? And he changed it, which is also, if the referee realizes, oh, yes, that's right, change it. Well done everybody in that situation, especially well done Josh for knowing that. So I just thought that was quite a cool moment.
Did you know that when you refereed
Yes.
that
Yeah.
Calamush? All right.
Yes.
As long as you knew that, then
As long as you knew.
yeah. But it's a bonus that Josh knows. I mean, you need to know.
Yeah. No, the ref needs to know, but captains knowing the law like that, it's always beneficial.
It's something as a school. I've picked it up at North. I think some of the captains, it's they can improve on not just the way they speak to the referees in terms of knowing when, in terms of with warnings,
Being tactical
with the ref. That's the second one. That's the third one. You know, things like that where you saw a few penalty trials but no cards given. Like for the captain, when Mr. Ref come on, like is there a card? So just being able to play the these kids are not George Gregan. That's the problem. You go back. You go back and just watch the
The school referees have got it so easy.
That's so easy.
The boys are well
I think
mannered.
we need to get
You want to
guys.
be well mannered, but not good.
We need to get you to referee a game at some point
You know
during
what I
the
want
show.
to do? You know what I want to do?
I'm happy to.
I want to be next to the field when Alexander takes the whistle, but I want to be in his ears. You know, I want to have that little. You must be, so I want to be sitting there like. Oh man, that'll be fun.
Okay, I think we've got to organise something like that. But all we have left to do now is the impossible truth. This is when you guys each give me a statement. One of them is true, one of them is not. I've got to figure out which is which. I also have 100% success rate so far, 3 from 3. I feel like I'm running on a wing and a prayer though at the moment. So let's hear it, guys.
I'll come on the court.
Yes.
We saw the amazing.
But come on.
We saw the amazing game between the Boys Eye and Affies, and you saw the emotions of the Boys Eye boys because that was the first time they've beaten Affies since COVID.
Okay. All right.
Tandu Bakumeni, SuperSport schools, big man, big boss, guy that signs your salary. Lekker. Played rugby for St Andrews College's second side.
Oh, okay. Let me think about this. So, first time boys high beaten Affies since COVID. So that's since 2019, unless they played very early in 2020.
Well, they didn't play in 19 or 20 because nobody did.
So, let me think. I don't know because
It's mentioned how after last year how big was the win.
Yeah. I mean, Affies
Affies
beat them by 20 odd points last year.
I don't know if this is trying to persuade me one way or the other.
I'm sure you'll score. I was put
facts now.
I scored 43 points last year against them. It was 43-21, I think.
I mean, has Affies stopped scoring yet?
I think to be safe, I'll back that Tanu played first side. So I'm gonna back that and then say that it's true that the Affies boys high.
At last. Tando Bakumeni did play for the second side of St Andrews, and boys I beat
2023.
Or Affies, boys I beat Affies in 2023. Yeah.
So, but it's 1-1.
Oh, I should have trusted my
We're
guts.
back, eh?
I trusted my guts.
We're back.
I did like Cooks with his calls and went safe, and then it's
Not a brilliant weekend for Alex. I mean, stuffed up a refereeing performance yesterday in Stellenbosch.
He's Rondebosch.
I'm going to need to get you guys to actually to ref, and then we can also put you in my air. But I'm going to be getting you to ref.
I'm not running around for 70 minutes.
Under eights,
There's
which
no
is
way.
probably harder. Actually.
Alex, just on that point, I actually spoke to Clint van Rensburg today, and he thought Alex was put in a very accomplished performance. So well done on that. And your first Young Guns Varsity Cup game.
Yeah.
Well done on that.
Thank you.
So if Blommy and the guys are watching, you're on the app, you're on the move.
I'm busy. We've been very busy at Noordside, but I'm busy watching back the recording that they took, and so far I'm also happy. But we'll see once I get to the end of it. But that is all we have time for today on Rugby on 216. We'll be back next week in our regular slot, Tuesday at 7. We'll see you then. But for now, bye-bye.